Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's a big deal for us. This is going to be the 100th video that we've got for this page, so I reckon I'd do something a little bit different. Just to give you a little bit of background, how this page started was I took off for about 2 years and traveled around the world. And when I got back, I had a bunch of friends who asked for advice on gear and different things like that. So instead of writing the same email over and over again, I thought I'd do these little YouTube videos of gear reviews and stuff. And a friend of mine asked me about my trip to Nepal, so I reckon I'd just do this video and hopefully other people will find it entertaining as well. I started my trip around April of 2007. I spent about a month in Nepal and I did a 2-week trek up to Mount Everest Base Camp. So in this video I'll talk about some of the logistics, the pricing, the gear, and my general experiences when I went on that trip. And hopefully I'll see if I can try to splice in some pictures from my trip into this video. Please forgive me and my primitive video editing skills. And if this is more than 10 minutes, I'll just break it up into parts, and hopefully you guys will be entertained. So, first things first, I was already in Asia for a while. When I went to Nepal, I flew in from Bangkok into Kathmandu. My flight left in the afternoon in Bangkok, and I arrived at around 11 p.m. in the evening in Kathmandu. So I can't tell you how much a plane ticket from Europe or from the States will cost to go straight to Nepal. I think my plane ticket from Bangkok was about $250 to $300. So tack that onto whatever a plane ticket would cost to get to Thailand, and that might give you an idea of how much it'll cost to get over there. When I landed that night, I already had reservations. Make sure that you have a reservation because a lot of the flights land at night, and the last thing you want to do is be going from hotel to hotel trying to find a place to stay. When you land, probably the most popular place in Kathmandu is a place called Kathmandu Guest House. It's so well known, in fact, that taxi drivers use it as a place to orient themselves around the town. Just go online, type in Kathmandu Guest House, make a reservation there, or at a guest house around there, so at least it's easier to find. So once you find that place, the place you have a reservation at is there. Got there, spent the night there. The next day, I spent the day walking around, going to different travel companies and asking them about what they were about, how much their rates were, what was included in the different packages to have a guide to take me up to base camp and then back. So do your shopping. If you guys are working a standard 9-to-5 job, you only got 2 weeks free. You can, I think you can squeeze it in. You can probably do it in 10 days. It's going to be a little bit tight though, and you're going to have to do some preparation beforehand. You might have to make your reservations and bookings beforehand online with the company blind without having met them in person, but I think it is possible. So I didn't have a lot of gear just because I was coming out of Asia, which was super hot, and Nepal I was going to need some cold weather gear. But a lot of these companies will have it as a part of the package that you can spend a little bit more and hire and rent gear through them, so don't worry about that. Talk to your guide, see how you guys get along, see how the chemistry is, because this is a person that you're going to pretty much be relying on, and your life is going to be depending on them. Got my little cheat sheet here. Going to go over some of the gear that I brought with me, and not all of it is gear that I actually used on the trip, but I put it in here just to give you a visual reference of what your package will look like, and I have my little cheat sheet of notes. Once you get to Kathmandu, I think we already talked about renting the gear. Oh, also, when you're in Nepal, it's before I forget, it's a really good place to buy souvenirs and especially clothing. When you're renting your gear, a lot of gear, quality clothing is made in Nepal and exported. For example, I got this wool beanie when I was there. It cost me about, what, $5? Saw the exact same one on sale at REI for $30. And then when I looked at the maker's tag underneath, it said made in Nepal. So while you're there, great place to buy quality handcrafted gear for a lot cheaper. And you might want to buy a few extra and bring it back as souvenirs or as gifts for friends. So that's just a little tip there. Their cold weather gear is actually very well made just because the trekking industry is such a booming part of their economy. Basically what you do is very early in the morning, if you buy the package, oh, by the way, the package, I think for 2 weeks, room and board plus guide, plus the plane ticket to fly there costs about $800, which is actually a really good deal when you think about it. $800 for a chance to visit Mount Everest Base Camp, that's a bargain. Basically, what you're going to do is the first day you're going to wake up early in the morning, you're going to catch a flight from Kathmandu to Lukla, which is at the bottom of the Himalayan range on the Everest trek. And then from Lukla you're going to hike up. Now you can trek straight from Kathmandu to Lukla. That's going to add another 10 to 14 days to your trip, but the good thing about trekking is the fact that you're going to have an easier time acclimatizing to the higher altitude because you're actually walking up that mountain. If you fly straight in, it's going to hit you a lot harder just because suddenly you're going to be at a higher altitude. In fact, when I landed at Lukla that first day, I felt kind of uneasy, like I didn't feel right, and then like in the subsequent days it just got worse and worse. Like I would just have headaches at night. By the time I got like about halfway through, I would wake up in the middle of the night and it would feel like somebody had split my head open with an axe. It was so harsh. But trust me, if I can get these pictures spliced into this video, you'll see that it's worth it. So basically, once you get to Lukla, like this little airport, what you're going to do is you're going to go to this one guest house, and you're not really going to check in to stay there. At Lukla, you're going to drop off your gear, and your guide's going to help you strip off most of the gear you don't need and pare it down to only what you need, absolutely. I had a 50-liter backpack that stayed at the guest house in Lukla, and this bag, this message bag, this little side satchel man purse was all I carried for 2 weeks all the way up to base camp. Yeah, pretty much you're gonna have the clothes on your back. I had an extra pair of underwear, an extra t-shirt, and an extra pair of socks. You're not gonna take a shower for 2 weeks just because there's no running water. Past Lukla, you're gonna be able to take a shower, but they're gonna start charging you for it, so that's something you're gonna have to pay attention to. So get used to being dirty for 2 weeks. So basically, let me just show you some of the things I wore. I recommend getting a buff. I didn't have a buff on me, but a friend that I made while I was there, he had an extra one and he let me use his, and now I was just hooked. Now I just wear a buff anywhere I go or have one on me just to have handy. Underwear, stay away from cotton, stick to synthetics just because it dries faster and it wicks moisture away. I actually had cotton underwear and it was horrible just because as you're hiking you're going to sweat. The cotton's going to absorb the sweat and then you're going to chill from it, so stick to synthetics. Same thing with t-shirts. I had cotton t-shirts. Was miserable with them, so I would recommend you get some nice quality synthetic t-shirts as a base layer to wick sweat away. It's going to be sunny at the bottom of the trek, and then as you get higher it's going to get progressively colder. Even when it gets colder, as you're trekking up, you're going to want to have the ability to strip off layers because as you're trekking you're going to sweat. So it's all about sweat management. As you feel yourself getting warmer, take off your jacket. As it gets even warmer after that, take off your mid layer. Then when it starts getting colder, you can add mid layer and then top layer on top of that to manage how hot and cold you get. These are the synthetic pants I wore on the trip. They held up pretty well. I think these are Prana. Really good pair of pants. I wore these every day for almost 2 years. I'm so sick of them right now. I can't bear to look at them. I was so sick of these. Nice wool sweater, mid layer. Then I don't have the actual jacket I used because that one I borrowed, but I just threw it in this North Face jacket for a visual reference. In fact, I wouldn't recommend using a puffy jacket, even though that's what I had when I was on the trek, just because it makes you too warm. I would recommend an extra layer, say a zip-up hoodie on top of that, and then over that, like a Gore-Tex to keep out wind and moisture. So wouldn't recommend the puffy jacket just because you're either really, really hot and you're sweating bullets, or you're really cold when you're not wearing this. And I just kept taking on and putting on the jacket, and yeah, would just recommend more layers instead of one big thick layer. And then on my trip I had my money belt, which was great. Had my passport and all my cash because there's no cash machines. You're going to be paying for a lot of stuff as you're going up and down the trail. And since you're going to be wearing your money belt all the time, I would recommend, since you have valuable documents in here, take your passport and all of it, fold it up and put it in a Ziploc bag. That way, even though it's next to your body, it's not going to get wet and soaking as you're sweating on the trail. And then sleeping bag, water bottle, I didn't take this on the trek with me. I got this when I got back down, but I thought this would be kind of a cool reference. Don't worry, I'll do a review on this later for you guys who are interested. Sunglasses, definitely a necessity because you can actually go get snow blindness just because the reflection of the sun off the snow is so bright it can blind you permanently. Oh wow, 9.5 minutes already. Guess I'm gonna have to do this into multiple parts. Yeah, just stay tuned and I'll go to part 2.